All right. Good evening. Thank. Hey, I think stress. Thanks for joining us. Namhlanje we are live. No LILITHA. Gonna be telling us more about mental illness. We're just creating awareness subject. So I'm just waiting on her to join us again because I think some losing. Frank, I see you now in the background. Can you please use the Mossel Bay Podcast page to comment? we don't want any izinto nje ezimoshakalayo namhlanje. I see you Amanda tuning in. Thanks for joining us, Ndase. I don't know where it went, but we are both. Guys, Amandla, I see you go to your. Can you just please text LILITHA and tell her to click on the link again? Because I think the problem again. LILITHA, I think the connectivity, but I'm gonna assembly in the up until I see Sis Twitter is also watching. While we are still here, I'd like to ask you guys to like and share and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also please share this live so that Abang Ivonio can actually see it on the other side.
Dikhona body.
Hi, Unjani? Yeah, my name is Archie McJ, if we may put it like that. So, are you now comfortable in that? Are you able to hear me in the connectivity? Right?
And I was trying to get in a Kalin, but over some track right and you're gonna
all right, that's great. Unfortunately, Stacy won't be joining us tonight due to shedding connectivity. It's very bad. So, it's gonna be me and you tonight.
Okay.
Also, if there's anyone who's watching that has a question for LILITHA and don't want to be seen, they can make use of the anonymous link that is on top of this live. You can comment and ask a question to LILITHA, and then Frank will do the Lord's way. Okay.
Ngixolela ke betnana ne beverage yam ngamanzi ashushu neyinto nebisi to keep me calm.
Okay. So daily routine yakho yobusuku or what?
Uba mandisele ibisi before ndilale because it actually helps me lala. But
ekunceda ntweni?
inceda for uba mawulale actually for ungabi laa nto uba kubona mos xa umane uguquguquka. So if you drink a glass of milk before you sleep okanye an hour before you sleep, it actually helps you uba ulale other than uba
Okay.
mawuvuke with insomnia whatever.
All right. Wow. I just learned something now. Okay. I'm gonna start off with questions Zika Stacy since she's not
Yes.
available. So Stacy wanted to know, wanted you to actually briefly explain to us what is depression and how did you know that you are depressed?
Well, to my experience, depression is when you have like uxinzelelo lwengqondo, ne? Obviously, right?
Mm,
But and it's more like where you feel like you're suffocated. Everything that you do, like environment okuyo, you just feel suffocated. And when at first for him, I didn't know what's happening with me, right? Because this is like I grew up being told what to do, what to say, and how to act. So I
yeah.
had this kind of thing where I felt so suffocated and andiyazi uba ndiyayicacisa njani, yabo. So I had to put a mask on, as in like I always had to be happy and I had to pretend to be somebody else.
Mm,
So that's my definition of depression, is that you feel suffocated. Everything that you do, you're not passionate about it, you know.
yeah.
Uziva everything that you have to do, you're doing it for somebody else, but not for yourself. And everything is just pressure. Everything that you do in a pressure ngaphakathi. So I discovered that I had depression during my high school years, because growing up I was this kid ubana, like ngizabe kanjani, I was bullied in primary, right, throughout high school. But then iyandibonisa loo
You
nto
were bullied.
ekakhulu, but
Yabuza, was it you who was being bullied?
yes, I was bullied in primary and in high school, both
Okay.
physically and verbally, because like growing up I was very thin, right, bendimncinci kakhulu. So I was even afraid to look at myself in the mirror growing up, because like I would usually believe whatever people would say about me ubana, oh, like xa ndihamba engandizokophuka, ubana whenever I would mhlawumbi the style that I would wear, you know, ubana
Yeah.
ndizenze ngandingumuntu omdala. I just felt so like ngizawubeka kanjani, ndiqhelelene kude nabanye abantwana, yabo. So zezinye
Mm,
factors that contributed into me ubana ndide ndibe ne-depression, because I had low self-esteem, like everything negative that people say about me, I would usually believe. And I also think that's part of depression, yabo.
okay. Um, Ngiyakuva Mdase. Can you tell me what impact does it have on your life nje since ungumuntu that is or who was living with depression nje?
Yes, iyandiimpacta like indlela embeke kakuyo ibingekho, ndizayibeka kanjani na bhuti. I was basically living a double life, right? Because
Mm,
kwabanye I had to bana to put on this mask of bana, okay, ndingulilitha MAHUZA, and I have to do whatever for instance, my parents say, whatever people have like say about me, I have to do it. So basically I wore a mask, like for instance xa umuntu ezawuthetha into embi kum bendihleka, and iitshomi zam that I
yeah.
grew up with, thank by God's grace, izitshomi zam nangoku, they would tell me that it's wrong, but then I'll be like, I were to yeke chomi or whatever. But then when I'm alone, for instance, in my grandfather's car, I would think about this in J and I would cry, and like I couldn't even open up to my own mother. Kumama monzalayo, bana mama izinto ezinje ezimvisa kabuhlungu. It's not only bullying, but then izinto abantu abasithethayo ngam zimvisa kabuhlungu,
Yeah.
yabo. So I ndiye ndakhula nalaa nto, and I was so secretive that izinto ezindehlelayo on a daily basis I couldn't even tell my mom, because I felt like every negative thing that abantu babeyithetha ngam yiyo ubana I'm weak or koyam or whatever. So I felt like I'm a failure on my own, why would I burden umama wam ubana ndimxelele ngezinto ezinje, yabo? So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, my other question has to be, I know we all know ukuthi nje mental illnesses are a very sensitive issue. What are the things that you'd advise people not to say or people not to ask? I mean, singabantu, we don't really know ukuthi what is it lento kuthiwa mental illness or
Illness.
depression. Like you said now ngoku ukuthi there were things that were being said kuwe ongazithandanga.
Mm.
So what is it that you'd say ebantwini not to say or not to ask to people living with mental illnesses nje?
Firstly, Budi, I would like to say ubana yabana with mental illness, thina singabantu abamnyama, we're not well educated about it. Sicinga zinto zabantu abanemali okanye like abantu ababelungu, zinto zabo ezo, yabo. Kufana for
Yeah.
instance xa siva uba umntu uzibulele, you would think uba yini lo mntana, like you would have nomakhulu bethu, umama bethu saying bana like uphambene lo mntu okanye kutheni bezibulala, people actually making a
Mm,
joke about somebody's death, yabo. Of which ke ngoku nam ndiye ndahlala phantsi ndayicinga ubana nam I was once at that state where I wanted to take my own life. So to hear abantu say such things, it really opened my mind ubana people don't really know about mental illness, especially in our community. Xa sicinga nge-mental illness sicinga abantu abaphambanayo, abantu
mm,
aba-delusional, but there's more to that, yabo. Such things as depression, anxiety, um, I can think of many, but then I can't say them all because yabo. So
yeah.
I wanted to. My reason of managing a Nuclear podcast was to share my own experience with depression and just to to be okay to talk about okay and be comfortable. But I am a depression survivor. Where I'm living with anxiety. Anxiety. So indlela zam for uba ndiphile ngazo with le meko ndidishana nayo ndenza njani. Yabo, to be comfortable to talk about such things. Yabo.
Mm. All right. Can you just usicacisele nje ukuthi what does depression look like on a bad day?
On a what?
On a bad day, nje if you feel like hey, this is the worst day of them all, kubanjani nje?
Well, physical, like emotionally first. Like if it's a bad day, it usually has to start in the morning. You
Mm,
wake up not feeling okay, ne? Zingathi feeling like moody, ne? So uyavuka. I can say I live with 7 people. So sivuka sineemini zethu, wonke umuntu unento yakhe. So usually with me, whenever I had a bad day, I would be mute, ne? Ndingumuntu othanda uthetha mna ekhaya. Everybody knows uba ndithanda uthetha. So I
yeah.
would keep quiet, ne? Then you would hear remarks. One thing about my family, they will, if I vuka ngecala right, they will be like, they will try uba mawenze uthethe, but they will be like ubana uyawafikelwa izinto zakhe. Fine. Then I remember one time when I had a bad day, then I woke up, then I was mute, right? I wasn't talking to anyone. I didn't even say good morning. You're just in yourself, like "Nzabe kanjani na bhuti?" You're in your own world. You see people that are moving around, but you're just in your own world that you don't even recognize anything that's happening around you. Yeah, bo. So
Mm,
I would talk about this day that I had. I woke up feeling I was quiet, right? And my mom was trying to make a conversation with me, and but then I didn't even answer. Oh, I just gave her one word. Then I went to
mm,
school. At school, I prep myself. I remember ndikhwele eteksini kwenye contract endikhwela kuyo. I was busy prepping myself. And njengoba ndiziprepha nje ndimamele ii-earphones zam. That's another thing, another sign that people should look out for with people that have depression is that we constantly disassociate ourselves. Soloko sithanda uhamba sodwa, asithandi uzithethisayo. So I can say that's when a person is, how can I put this now? Oh, oh my
Mm,
goodness, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry,
it's okay.
but yeah.
This is a safe space in the Sekai.
I don't, because this is literally the first time me talking about this publicly, like pam kwabantu. It's really difficult, Budine, for ukuba kula situation. And I'm praying to God, mama ngandibeki kulaa because all I could see and think of was that I deserve to be kule ndawo ndikuyo. Whatever people say about me, I deserve to be in such situation. To a point where, as a person, you lose self-love yakho, self-worth yakho. Uthi xa uzijonge esipilini, all you see is that you just there's no point of you living. Like you're not worth living apha ebomini. Yabo. So I can't really exactly pinpoint a day where I can say ubana on a bad day ndingabanjani. But because to me at that time it felt like every day was just the worst. I wake like ukumbona you know your routine, but now you wake up, you have to deal with these people, then you go back, you go to school, you deal with abantu about difficult, then you come back and then you sleep. Like that's how I can put it.
Yeah, hey, that must be really hard for you, Lilita. Tell me, what is the one thing that people believe to be true about a mental illness, which is not?
One thing that people would think, it's not a demon. First of all, ayilo demoni, ayonto ubana umntana ungenwe moya omdaka. Yabo. It's not, first of all, because I think one thing people that lack to listen, that are bengekho kule situation, you know, is that they lack to listen. Abakwazi ukumamela ungumntu. They bafika ngathi ukuba they're calculating. This is one thing I had with one person, right? I don't like, I won't mention his name, is that I bendi chomi, yeah, sort of buchomi yakhe ne. So I was offloading izinto zam. He would
Mm,
usually like ukuba nala umntu like bhuti ndizayibeka kanjani na, they, one thing andiyaziyo abantu that don't get depression is that they don't listen. They already made up their mind that bana this is ayondikhoyo. But then one thing that's so sickening is that they will be the first one to judge. Yabona, people that are judgmental and people that are not, abantu narrow minded, you know. For instance,
mm.
ndizayibeka kanjani na, mandiyibeke apha le nto. Yeah. You know, oh, nantsi nam isiwa. Okay, let me put this thing back. Yeah. Okay. Budi?
I'm listening.
Okay. Bendiphendula lo mbuzo wakho ke. The people that are narrow minded, people that don't listen, people that are judgmental, you know, it's it, it really took me a time for utamkhulu wam ne to get uba okay ndine-depression. And njengoba ndine-depression ayonto into ingathi ayonto ibana ndingenwe ngumntu omdaka, because in my family we are very religion, we're Christian people, right? So izinto ezifana
Mm,
ne-depression, it was really hard for me to come out, you know, because I knew that first of all I would be judged, ne? Second of all, my grandfather would take it as if like it's like ngumoya ombi okanye mhlawumbi ndiyabona zonke ezo zinto. And then
mm,
he would not listen. So this is why I always chose ichomi, like for to bana ndixele imbilini yam kutshomi zam than ndixelele ifamily yam, yabo, of which that is wrong, because sometimes ichomi, they can use that against you, of yabo. So to answer your question, Glenn Iteta, is that abantu that were that uh don't get this whole thing of mental illness, is that people that don't listen and people that don't that will judge you, and already they have laa ngqondo ubana even ngoku uzofika uhlale nabo kuba nzima noba ubaxelele because sowuyazi uba bazawubana nani uba bububhanxa obundixelela bona. I remember one time my grandfather, not like, I could feel laa nto ubana I'm slowly losing my grandfather the moment that I sat down and and the moment that I sat down and told them ubana I'm suffering from this and I've been getting his symptoms, and my last attempt did not work out, you know. So yeah,
Last attempt of suicide.
it's suicide, yes, but that was the first time I actually came out from my family
Mm.
to my family area.
Wow. And how did they take it? Were they supportive or did they judge you nje? Because singabantu, we don't really understand these things, and especially with abantu abadala nje. I didn't really understand mental illnesses nje kakuhle up until ngoku uyayicacisa wena, and I believe ukuthi I'll learn even more. So how was it when you told your parents ukuthi you've attempted suicide?
First of all, it's a funny story now. I I think it was in 2020, 2020 October, but I'm not sure on the date. I was in the middle of a trials exam.
Mm.
I felt so much pressure, Yabona. Like, first of all, I was I was not in a good state. I just came out of the COVID-19. I thought that I was gonna die, Yabona, in September, but then I recovered and everything. So I mean, in the middle of my trials, andikafumana ixesha loba ndifunde, and ke ngoku but then kuyabhalwa, yabo. So I felt so much pressure that I didn't even look at incwadi zam. I wasn't studying at that time, ne? But I was just going through a lot. And I felt like nobody uyayibona uba le nto uba ndiyenzayo ndizawungena ekamereni ibe ngathi ndiyafunda kanti andifundi. So this one
Yeah.
time took I took my one thing about me, I notice stuff, I'm very quick at noticing izinto. So I
Mm.
took my grandmother's pills, painkillers, and I think I took about yes, one must painkillers zingakanani zibayi-10 phume ziyi-2 yabo kuyilaa nto ziziyi-2 ezazinto yabo. So my grandmother has diabetes, so they're given really ezaa painkillers zi-strong, i-tramadol. They're given insulin. So I know what these things do. I've done a research on what tramadol does, in the effect of ingqondo, uba ingqondo yakho
Also,
iba njani
you're
into
doing
yokuba
research on how to commit suicide.
I'm doing a research on how to kill myself. Yabo.
Okay.
So I took these pills. I took these pills, right? And I think I took around about 3 insulin injections. Ne? Now I go to umntasekhaya next door, cousin yam, also my friend. Now she's braiding my hair, and I'm texting one of my best friends that's currently funda Rhodes, and I'm texting her and I'm saying to her that ndibuze uba sikunjani, sibuze uba ni-right. Then I said to her, Manzolo, ndiyacela uzuxelele umama that I really love her and I appreciate everything that she's done for me. I know a relationship here too has never been the best. Like, I've never really had a mother and a daughter thing because my mom got me when I was young, and basically I was raised by my grandparents. So I don't have that relationship with my mom. Yabo apho bendizawufila to a point where I didn't feel comfortable talking about izinto ezenzekayo kum ezimbi. So I'm writing this text now to my friend
Mm.
Ubana, makaxelele umamam that I really love her and I'm really sorry for disappointing her because I know this is gonna look better on her. It's not her fault that I'm ridiculous situation. I've just decided, Ubana, I really can't do this anymore. I've tried to be the best daughter and the best grandchild to my family, but I can't because it feels like I'm living somebody else's life and not mine. That's as lines with Payana, and I send this and then switch off it data. My friends tries to call me. Then we have was cousin yam. That's what they want. Loan they own in yam. Just asking umana ngubani ufuna kangaka. Ndithi ke mna gaye wethu ngaba yabafana badikayo yabo. Like actually switch off my phone. Then I can njengoba ndihleli phansi, I can feel my heart slowly beating kancinci kancinci kancinci. And I think zazinkathi zabo 6 so mama uzophuma ngo-7 andigqiba undibreyida ndibe phandle ke ndothula izinto zam ndihlala apha ekamereni. Kule kamera ndihleli kuyo ndizicimile and at that time ndandingafuni into edibene nelight. Ndihlala ndedwa ndizicimele ndimamele umculo kwii-earphones, right? So ndihlale njengoba ndihleli apha ndilayite ifowuni yam ndibone i-missed calls ngumamam, ndibone ifowuni yam ikhala still ngumamam ndingayicholi. Ndiye kuWhatsApp ndibuze ukusiviwa uba uyifumene njani kamamam ifowuni number kamamam, then yonke laa nto. And then one minute I'm closing my eyes, right? Then the next I see my mother in front of me and I'm asking where the hell did she fly, yabona? Okanye what's happening, yabo? I literally uncope with stay and I'm not at the right state of mind right now. Then she comes and then she's crying, ndiyabuza ukhalela ntoni. Then athi kum umamamu like abuze ubana yintoni le nto endiyenzayo, yintoni le nto endiyenzayo, like kutheni ndifuna uzibulala ntoni ntoni ntoni. Andibonisa ii-screenshots zikasiviwo. And then I start crying. I'm not gonna lie, that's the first time my mother saw me crying ndingaka yana. And I cried and I cried for I don't know how for I mean, but I cried. That was the longest time that I cried a woman mom. I cried. I remember my mom was pregnant at that time. We're both crying. Umakhulu wami uyafika ekamereni, kwenzeka ntoni? Akho mntu uphuma nanto. We're both crying. And then my mom calls on an ambulance. Silanduze utamkhulu wam akekho at that time, uye ecaweni. Kubizwa i-ambulance ndiyosiwa esibhedlele nditreyinwe. Then ngoku kwenzeka yonke le process umama ukhona, yabo. And in my mind I'm worrying about uba umntasekhaya gonna be okay. I'm just stressing about my sibling that's about to arrive. I don't care about what happens to me as long as even if I die, I just don't care at this point. And then ndifakwe i-sedation ndilale ke ndivuke the following day. I see my parents up, my grandparents and my mother there. And then they kuncokolwe man, but them not trying to bring up le nto ye-suicide, yabo. And then nditsho kubo ke ngoku ubana ndikhale, yabo, ndithi ndiyaxolisa for yonke le nto ndinenza yona. And it felt like this is the only thing that I felt what was needed kum, because I feel like you guys don't get me and I don't get you guys, and I have to put on a face, yada yada. And then umakhulu wam, she stopped me and said, bana, we're gonna talk soncokola le nto xa sisendlini. And then that discharge kwam, I sat down with them and I said to them, ubana, I have not been feeling okay for ixesha lide. And reason why I've not been feeling okay, I feel like I have to be somebody else kuni. I have to be somebody else kwiitshomi zam esikolweni. I don't feel andizazi ubumna bam, yabo. And andikwazi kwa nokuxela iingxaki zam apha kuni, into ezintle. And ndifile ngathi ndindibeka ipressure yobana I have to succeed. I have to bana ndibe le engineer. I have to bana ndibe ngubani. You guys are telling me what to be, but anindiva mna. I can't even raise my own concerns, yabo. So my grandfather, he stormed out of endlini, like he couldn't believe ubana mna ndikule nto, yabo, like ndizama uzibulala, yabo. And then my mom she was forever on my space. She was hugging me and everything. Then ke ngoku mama axelele umiss wam that I consider as my mom, umem Bini. Then umem recommende onye umama oku heart to heart usisinoxolo yabo. And then I don't know if yeah, well, she is a therapist. And then ndisiwe esikolweni yabo ngomvulo because this thing happened on Friday. Then ndisiwe esikolweni ngomvulo. And then usiwa kwam esikolweni ndidibane noprincipal. Uprincipal abuze ubana yintoni yabo. I'm not comfortable talking yabo, ndingathethi. Then my mother does the talking ubana I did this and this and this. So they recommended me to Sis Noxolo. I remember my first meeting up with Sis Noxolo. It was kind of awkward because I have never been in a position. Eh, but
Usisinoxolo is a therapist or a counselor or what?
i-counselor
Whether she,
yasesikolweni. I don't know if she use Hillcrest because ndandifunda Hillcrest yabo.
all right.
Yeah. So andise phaa ndibe phayana ke. It was kind of weird because I've never been kwindawo endingabaziyo without abazali bam yabo, okanye ndizokwazi uthetha nabantu endingabaziyo. I first need to know you uba okay ngumntu onjani, then ndizokwazi uthetha imbeleni yam nawe. So angangeni kwinto yento yozibulala uthi sisinoxolo. Andibuze ubana okay ndinjani, andibuze ubana like trying to have a normal conversation yabo kuba anazani, you're trying to know each other. Naye she said that she feel free to ask her any question about her life yabona. So we're trying to make a conversation yabo. Then she gave me a task uba ndibhale yonke into endiyifilishayo. Oh my goodness, icimile ifowuni yam.
Iyaphela ibhetri mntase.
Yabo iyaphela sana bhuti and manje ndifuna ukuyifaka ngoku etshajeni.
All right. Do that quick and then we can carry on. My next question, can I pose my next question, or you'd like to continue with what you were telling us?
I would like to continue but then this is
All right.
first, can you guys see me? Imabhoti
Yeah,
ndicela
we
ubuza uba
see.
ndiyakwazi undibona kuqala.
Yeah, siyakubona mntase.
Okay. So ndithethe ke nosis Noxolo ke uba then she's busy asking me about ubana ndifuna uba yintoni ebomini, what are my favorite colors, like places where I want to go. And this is the first time where I had a dialogue nomntu. And she's not only just, we're not just having a conversation, but she's listening yabo, to what I'm saying. And she would repeat what I said, meaning that bana okay, she's listening. For the first time in my life, akukho umntu ozohlala phansi and then just hear what I have to say, then I judge it based on what I say yabo. She's keeping bana okay bana ndithethe into ethile bana okay, for instance bana my favorite color is peach, and one day I would like to be a lawyer and under APEE law. Then I tell her, you know, like ndaqhubekeka ke ndabane sessions nabo usisinoxolo yabo. Then whenever I would come endlini yabo, my mother would ask me, she started to ask bana, she would say good morning, how I ndinjani uyabona, ndiziva ndinjani. Like she became more intact yabo after that sort of whole suicidal thing. Like my family started to acknowledge the feelings zam uba okay xa nditshintshileyo ndinjani yabo. But at first I didn't like it because they treated me like an egg yabo, and andiyiqhelanga laa nto. I'm used to being independent, I'm used to being alone. But then it helped ngoba ndiyakwazi uzi-expressa ngoku uba mama andikho rayithi, mama ndihlutshwa yinto ethile ngoku, into ethethileyo andiyithandanga, tata into ethethileyo andiyithandanga, yabo. Ibikunzima ekuqaleni but ngoku ndiyakwazi uyenza loo nto.
All right. I think you've answered my next question, which was gonna ask Ugut, are there maybe any improvements ever since Ngoku? I think you now understand that you're living with mental illness and you now know Uguti, this is what happens. Xa kutheni. So you actually understand this and you actually making an improvement. So
Mm.
tell me, what message would you give, Nje? What message would you send to those who have depression or feeling like they are depressed or any other mental illness, Nje?
Well, what I would say to umdu that's going through it now is that first you should look talk to your parents, ne? Because andiyazi le phone yenza ntoni, nantsi America. Like akuncedi, ndiyayazi laa nto yoba ufile ngathi uwedwa, akho mntu ufuna ukumamela, and noba uyazama umntu ufuna akho mntu ufuna ukuva le ndlebe. Try and talk to iitshomi zakho, ne? Suba ngulaa mntu soloko happy and within i-inner circle yakho soze mane ungayiboni itshomi yakho xa igowayo, because you can't be always soloko niyagowa. Abanye abantwana bayaxela iingxaki zabo but wena you're always this person orayithi ohealthy ontontoni. So the first step into uzibonakalisa uba you're really depressed is that first you should tell somebody, because it's never really too late for ukwenza bekanjani na bhuti, it's not too late to get out of le situation ukuyo. It took me some time for uba ndiphume kuyo, yabo. It could have been sooner uba ndizawukwazi uncedakala, but then I was so stubborn with the fact that kuyafana, akho mntu uzandimamela noba ndingathini, noba ndizawuthini kwam nam andizazi. So it's I live with the mantra yobana ingxaki ethethiweyo kuyafana seyibusombululeka, seyikufutshane ekusombululekeni because uyithethile. Because asikwazi unyanga into esingayaziyo, yabo. Awukwazeki unyanga ka into ungayaziyo, so feel free for uba mawuthethe, yabo. And subanala, if your family doesn't hear your side of the story, bacumise ecaleni. Mna bhuti, I'm so grateful to have a person like umama Mpini ebomini bam. She literally is during high school, during my time in high school, she was literally one of those teachers that I would look forward to mama ndiye eklasini yakhe, because she was not just only a teacher but umzali kuthi, yabona. Like she was somebody that, like something that I didn't receive endlini, that olaa thando lobuzali, umntu that would care about you. So bakhona oomisi abaserayithi abanjeyana. If you can't talk to your family and your family is religious just like mine, yabona, it takes time for uba mawufuneka uqala ubafundise ubana this is what is happening now. There are teachers abanjalo, yabo. They are like your cousins, for instance, yabo. Mna, I'm not fortunate to have I'm fortunate to have many of my cousins, but then andikho fortunate enough uba ndingathi ndi-close nabo. So I'm grateful for itshomi endinazo because they didn't judge me, yabo. They just kept on insisting that I should tell my parents, but then I was like, they're not gonna listen, they're not gonna listen. So yeah, it's best to tell somebody. That's the first step of getting out of that dark hole. Telling somebody, because if you don't tell somebody, uzohlala uhleli ulela hlobo, and you actually gonna succeed into killing yourself. Like the stages into depression. First, you associate yourself kwabantu, ne? you believe whatever people say about you. And you go to the point of manner, you would cut yourself, you would want to feel a physical pain because you feel like the emotional pain is overwhelming, so that you would want to feel if is like you would want to hurt yourself in order to numb what you're feeling emotionally. I've been through that. You would even entertain the thought of you dying, ubana, this is how am I gonna die. And you would even entertain the thought of mana how my funeral is gonna be, and I've went through that. So it's never too late uzawuthi bana you're starting to feel like you decided, because the stage isn't through yonke lento. Mna, I believe that I went through all those stages because I only told my parents and my family when I attempted suicide. It's never too late to admit it, and also accepting. Yabona, there's nothing that beats Obama uyamkele situation. Other than trying to hide your pain, you should accept it and embrace it and wear it with pride. Yobana, this is who I am. It's not like the world is ending just because of bana ukule situation. Yabo.
All right. There's also another question for you from Anonymous, which is, Oti, I'm just curious, are you on antidepressants? If so, are they helping?
No, I haven't reached that stage of say Iblis or whatsoever. But instead, I try and go the healthier and natural way is that whenever I'm having a bad day, I would take a walk, something that would clear ingqondo yam, fresh air, or I would, because I'm a very ndingumuntu othanda uya ejimini, yabo, but ngoku andifumani chance xa ndilapha. So one thing that helps me is that I take a walk if I feel like environment and feeling like suffocated. I just take a walk, then I would come back with ingqondo yam refreshed. Then I would express myself to my mom and be like, bendingayithandanga mhlawumbi le nto ubuyithethile or whatsoever. And I I gym and yeah, just about that. But I'm not on pills or whatever, because I I'm actually afraid of using pills ever since my last suicidal attempt.
Okay. So tell us, who's that one person you turn to on your darkest days?
Besides my mom, it's my I call her my best friend because I've known her my childhood throughout Ubombam since we were kids in primary. Is Snomonde, but I call her YT. I remember recently, 3 weeks ago, I lost somebody, and she was the first person I contacted. Bana, to me, this is happening, and she knows, like she understands me, she gets me, because like literally everything about Ichomiam is just everything. So if not my mom, it's Usnomond.
All right, I hear you. I believe I've covered all my questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we can close this live? Anything that you feel like we didn't cover, Namhlanje, and people need to know?
Uh, okay, I would like to add on land Oba. E, e, mental illness is shouldn't be something that esiyenza kuba kungoku we're talking about it. We need to make it into eqhelekileyo, that now xa uva mhlambi let's say ukroxwe ngumntu okanye mhlawumbi ukroxwe yitshomi yakho akuxelele ubana ndikule situation ndikuyo ngoku, yenzi intlekisa, because into endiyibonayo, especially on social media, is that when you hear people that are suffering from depression, we tend to often make fun of it if into when they understand that into it's a joke. But then into edibana mental health is very sensitive, because it takes a lot from us, that people that have experienced it, and now we're trying to move on from that. It takes a lot from us ba xa sibona ezo zinto, then we're triggered bana I was still living with, especially with iintanga zethu, ubone umuntu ebhala into that's negative, and then you think ubana kusekho abantu narrow minded, you know. One thing I would like to also add on that is that let's change abantu that are let's change ingqondo zethu that is narrow minded, and and be open to izinto ezinjalo. If we could be open about i-sexuality yethu, yintoni esohlulayo eba masithethe ngeengxaki zethu, because iyanceda bhuti nakwizinto ezifana nee-G_B_Vs for instance, because ndibe kanjani na, like inceda into like if we could make this a comfortable topic to talk about and not be scared about, we could prevent a lot of things ezinokwenzeka ebomini bethu. We can decrease into ezifana ne-suicide, we can decrease izinto ezifana, like a lot of things esenokuncipheka okanye esenophela if we make into ye-mental health into eqhelekileyo, ingabi yonto yoba okay kuba iyinyanga yayo okanye kuba kwenzeke esi sehlo, let's talk about this thing. That's one thing I would like to add on.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I believe everyone was watching got a glimpse of what mental illness is and how it looks in on a bad day, and how to actually try and deal with it. Even now, I've learned something. I've learned ukuthi nje i-depression doesn't choose nje, ingakufikela nawe ungayicingelanga. So thank you so much LILITHA for joining us and sharing story sakho. I'm sure nabanye who are living with the illness bayayazi ukuthi what is it that they can do to deal with the situation. We've reached the limit yethu for tonight, so we might as well call it a night in the sky. Thank you so much.
Enkosi kakhulu.